If you believe your business is going to continue to trend in an upwards direction, you are so fucking wrong. I cannot stress it enough. Recently, what we've seen is with one of our larger clients, for the first time in over almost 2 years of working together, we've seen a contraction for 2 months. Both February and March have been back to back some of the worst months we've seen since we first started working on the offer. The reason I bring that up is because one of the most important character traits of any agency owner, of any business operator in general, is transparency, your ability to be transparent with your team, to be transparent with your clients, to be transparent with your prospects. Not everything is sunshine and rainbows. In this video, what we wanted to do was address how to actually deal with contractions in your business, what the reasons for contractions typically are in information products, how to diagnose the problem, as well as what are some common solutions when solving for a recent contraction inside of the business. Right away, in the case of this business and this client specifically, a lot of it came from a lack of tracking. And this falls entirely on me because we were not staying up to date and on top of the tracking. We didn't catch the contraction in February until it was way too late. We just kind of looked at revenue numbers, said, it's down. I wonder why. Turns out one of the funnels completely collapsed. And that falls entirely on the agency. We were not on top of the tracking. Whatever business you run, whether it's organic led or paid led, you need to make sure you're tracking because you'll be able to catch these things before they come up. Now, what are we doing? We're scrambling to solve the problem in March. Massive fucking problem. You do not want this. You do not want to find yourself in this situation. So the number one thing that you need to be doing is tracking. And you need to be tracking as accurately as possible. You need to be tracking as much as possible so that you can then make decisions. The second reason for contractions, generally speaking, that we most commonly see is salespeople. This is at times harder to diagnose, especially if you are not a salesperson by nature or you're running a sales team for the first time. Because what can occur is a narrative can begin to develop inside of the organization. We've seen this across info product clients as well as capital raising clients, where all of a sudden the leads are, quote, bad. When on the marketing front, nothing's changed. And when you go and review the call to confirm that, the client or the prospects are the exact same as well. And so a narrative begins to develop and it creates a snowball effect almost, whereas it rolls downhill, the problem just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so that is typically the second reason for contraction is your salespeople. They begin to get lazy. They stop doing what they're doing. They create a narrative amongst the organization that ends up causing issues in the long run. The number 3 reason for this, and this one's a little more interesting, is you change too much at once. This is extremely problematic largely across the marketing front because what you end up doing is you change the ad, you change the funnel, you get emotional and you panic and you fire your sales guy. Then you start posting new content. This was something that was very, very interesting long time ago. I think almost a year ago to date. We were working with a business that was predominantly organic and we were scaling into paid. I think we were spending close to 50 to 70 grand a month on paid advertising. They had about 100,000 followers on Instagram, sold like a BizOp info product, and their content when they did it themselves would crush. What they decided to do is they then decided to outsource their content. So it went from educational to more lifestyle. They optimized for efficiency in the content production process. Now, what was fascinating about this is as soon as that pivoted, what you saw was not only a decline in the organic performance, but also as a byproduct, a decline in the ads performance. It's very, very important for you to understand that you must only be changing one thing at a time per funnel. You cannot be changing a ton of things at once because it disrupts the organization. It causes too many issues. Now, if there's a blatant problem across the business and you need to change a bunch of things at once, make sure you're changing them systematically. For example, if it's a messing issue, let's say you're just speaking to the wrong person. Well, then you have to change the ads, the funnel, the copy, the etc. But you don't necessarily have to change the mechanics of it. So it's important to not change too many things. The last part or the last reason for a contraction that we see across damn near every single info product business, capital raising business, you name it, is a lazy operator. And this comes back to this lack of tracking. We got comfortable as an agency that, we've been able to consistently grow this organization. Some months it plateaus, but time over time again, within a 3-month period, the business has consistently grown since we first started working with them. We took them from 10K a month all the way up to their peak, I think was like somewhere between 220 and 250. We were responsible for a large portion of that. You've been directly tied to the business from 0 to that point. And we had yet to experience a major contraction. Little dips and fluctuations, but nothing like, holy shit. We got lazy. We stopped tracking, not necessarily stopped, but we stopped really paying attention to it. We stopped making sure that diligently we were looking at the performance of the webinars and the different funnels that we were running. And it caused this to happen, all because it stems from laziness. The other way that you can tell you're being a lazy operator, or maybe your creator, if you're an agency owner, is being lazy, is A, their responsiveness, but B, the amount of actions they take. If they go from posting 3 times a day to 1 time a day, that's a problem. That right there can cause a contraction. If they start switching to more B-roll stuff, like the scenario I painted to you earlier, that's a major fucking problem. And so you want to make sure that you, the operator or the creator, or if you're the operator and the creator, are not being lazy. You must do what you have to do to maintain. If you fail to do that, you will contract. The last thing I will say that was interesting, and this is not my point, this is from a mentor of mine. Sometimes an operator or business owner doesn't necessarily get lazy, but their focus shifts to things that are not going to grow the business. In info, it's very, very common for the business owner to run another another business and sell info on that business. Maybe it's sales training for another business. That's what it was in this case. Maybe it's how to start the business you're currently running. And let's say my focus goes from the info side to the business side, and now I'm not paying attention to the info side. I may be working the same, if not more hours in the day, but because my focus has shifted away from info, my business will contract. Same thing goes for the stuff you're seeing in the age of AI. With the age of AI, everybody is looking to build some automatic agent. And what happens is they take their eye off the ball with the activities that drive revenue. This causes the business inherently to contract. Your focus needs to always remain on revenue driving actions. If you are not going to make more money than you currently do per hour from the action you are about to take, you need to pay somebody else to do it. If I make $1,000 an hour and all of a sudden I decide to mess with AI on a task where I don't even know how much I'm going to make an hour, is it worth my fucking time? Hell no. Absolutely not. You do not want to do that. If I know, let's say it's worth $700 an hour. Is that more than my current $1,000 an hour task? No, don't do it. Your focus needs to stay on the revenue driving actions. And unless it makes more money than your current hourly rate, do not do it. Pay somebody to do it. Very, very simple. And again, this comes from a mentor of mine, but I thought it was fascinating in terms of the AI side of things. Now that we know some of the reasons for the contractions, how do we actually diagnose the problem? This is very, very, very simple at the end of the day. It all comes back to your data. You need to look at your entire business as a whole, and you need to figure out what stayed the same and what changed. And then you need to look at whatever changed, what was the date? And you need to look at the date that things changed. Following that date, what contracted? Did anything in the marketing funnel change that caused a contraction? Did you lose a sales guy? Did that cause a contraction? Did the sales guy go on vacation? Did that cause a contraction? Did you launch new ads? Did that cause a contraction? All you need to be doing is looking for changes and then lining that up with the date. What was the date of the actual contraction? Are there any changes that occur on the date of a contraction or before, a couple days, a week, a month before a contraction? I can now begin to say, okay, was it a marketing issue? Was it a sales issue? Was it a tracking issue? Or was it laziness? A lot of you guys watching this video don't need somebody to tell you, oh shit, this is what caused the contraction. But if you want to learn more about that, there's gonna be a link below. You can book a call. We can dive into why your business contracted, what you can do next. But a lot of you don't need that type of help. You already know what the problem is if you just looked at the data you have in front of you. What I find fascinating is the only reason you ever need to go speak to somebody is either because you know the problem that needs to be solved, or you have a solid idea, or because you have no data to make the decision from. I'd argue that roughly 90% of the decisions you make inside of your business, you can tell just by looking at the data and what changed. Did I change content? Did I launch new ads? Did I launch a funnel? How long have I been running the funnel for? Did my sales team narrative change? Did I hire new guys? Did I fire new guys? Did something change with the tracking? Did I get lazy? Did something break? When was the last time I checked it? Am I being lazy? You want to look for those things. It's very, very simple. I don't want to overcomplicate that process because again, you can go and do a bottleneck analysis and all this fancy stuff. And we have other videos on the channel if you want to consume that. So subscribe and check those out. But at the end of the day, diagnosing the problem comes down to what changed. Where does that line up relative to the date of the contraction and what specifically in the funnel contracted? Was it my show rate? Was it my close rate? Was it my CTR? Was it my conversion rate? Was it my AOV? Sometimes it has to do with salespeople just getting lazy and biasing towards payment plans. So you want to look for all of these metrics. And then what you want to do is you want to go into the common solutions. And in this video, I'm not going to break down specifics because there are so many reasons your business may contract. But what I want to do instead is walk you through the thought process of how to actually find the solution. Typically what happens is you have your business as XYZ date, you make a change, and then you have your business at ABC date. All you're doing is seeing what you changed that led to the contraction. And then you are just reverting back to the original state of the business. And then you're going to try to change something else and then see if it changed positively or negatively. That's it. The entire process of solving for a contraction is legitimately, I kid you not, whatever you changed to cause the contraction or whatever did change to cause the contraction, you're just going to revert. So if I have success, change, I have a win and I have a loss. And this goes back to the decision-making video on the channel. If I have success and I go and change something and it's a win, well then cool. Now my business increased and then I'm going to try changing another thing or I'm just going to scale it. One of the two. But if I get a loss, all I'm going to do is revert the change, go back to the original version 1. We'll call this version 2. Go back to version 1, see if we stabilize again. If we do, try changing something else. If we win, then we either scale depending on where we're at, or we try to change something else to increase ROAS and profitability of the funnel. That's it. That's all we're doing. We're doing this by looking at what changed and what contracted based on the data we currently have. For example, let's just give you an example scenario. Let's say I see a contraction and my sales performance dips. I didn't change anything on the marketing side. Didn't change ads, didn't change funnel, didn't change any of that shit. If my sales performance tanks, I'm going to look at my show rate, at my close rate, at my collection rate. And I see, did any of these contract? Let's say my show rate contracted. Well, now I'm going to say, okay, what comes after that? Are the automations firing correctly? Are the salespeople doing their thing? Are we ramping salespeople? Did we lose salespeople? I'm just going to look at all of these different opportunities and I can say, okay, we're not ramping. We didn't lose anybody. The automations are fine, but the salespeople, maybe they stopped sending assets, or maybe it's the holidays. and they're just being a little lazier. Now I know, okay, they stopped sending. Let's solve that. Go back to this decision-making framework. They stopped, they made a change. They stopped sending assets. It was a loss. Revert, make sure they send assets. This will bring us back to the win. Simple scenario on how this works. If sales performance dips, let's look at the metrics. What contracted? Okay, what are the possible reasons for contraction? From there, what did they stop doing? What changed? What is different from the control? That's what I then focus on. Again, guys, if your business is contracting at all, please book a call below. We can dive into why that's happening. This video is all about transparency. We've seen a business contractions happen. It's unavoidable. You cannot avoid this. Sometimes when you're at scale, it has to do with just market forces. Then at least you know why it contracted. I hope that helps. Book a call if you're looking to learn more about how we can help you get out of a contraction. One of the other most common things we see all the time is if you run an organic-led business and your operation contracts, running paid ads is a great way to just force that growth again, because sometimes people just get burnt out by your social media posts. Again, inevitable. If you like stuff like this, you thought this was helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.